The Third Order of St. Francis, historically known as the Order of Penance of St. Francis, is a third order within the Franciscan movement of the Catholic Church. It includes both congregations of vowed men and women and fraternities of men and women living standard lives in the world, are often married. It has been believed that the Third Order of St. Francis was the oldest of all third orders, but historical evidence does not support this. Similar institutions are found in documentation of some monastic orders in the 12th century. In addition, a third order has been found among the Humiliati, confirmed together with its rule by Pope Innocent III in 1201. In 1978, the Third Order of St. Francis was reorganized and given a new rule of life by Pope Paul VI. With the new rule, the name used by the secular branch of the order was changed to the secular Franciscan order. Background: tertiaries, or what is known as third orders, are those persons who live according to the third rule of religious orders, either in a religious community or outside of a monastery in the world. The idea which forms the basis of this institute is in general that persons who on account of certain circumstances cannot enter a religious order, strictly so called, may nevertheless, as far as possible, enjoy the advantages and privileges of religious orders. There are differing opinions as to the origins of the Third Order of St. Francis. According to church historians Karl Müller, Mandonnet, and others, the secular Third Order is a survival of the original ideal of Francis of Assisi, i.e. a lay confraternity of penitents from which the first and second orders of the Friars Minor and the Pauclaires have been detached. Another group of scholars believe that St. Francis's name became associated with pre-existing penitential lay confraternities, without his having any special connection with or influence on them. Thomas of Celano and others held that Francis did indeed found a third order and gave it a rule. The preaching of St. Francis, as well as his example, exercised such a powerful attraction on people that many married men and women wanted to join the first of the second order. But this being incompatible with the state of life, Francis found a middle way and gave them a rule animated by the Franciscan spirit. In the composition of this rule, St. Francis was assisted by his friend Cardinal Ugolino. As to the place where the Third Order was first introduced, nothing certain is known. The preponderance of opinion is for Florence, chiefly on the authority of Mariano of Florence, or Fenza, who cites the first papal bull known on the subject. The less authoritative Fioretti assigns Canara, a small town 2 hours' walk from the Portiuncula, as the birthplace of the Third Order. Mariano and a bull for Fenza suggest that 1221 was the earliest date for founding of the Third Order. Thomas of Celano wrote that the oldest preserved rule was dated 1221. This rule contained originally 12 chapters. A 13th was added under Pope Gregory IX. Among other things, it prescribes simplicity in dress, considerable fasting and abstinence, and the canonical office or other prayers instead. Because of the prohibition of bearing arms, the followers of this rule came into conflict with local authorities, which customarily required men to carry arms for service in militias. In the 13th century, there were Third Order confraternities with local variations. In 1289, Pope Nicholas IV confirmed the rule in the bull Supramontum. The rule published and approved by Pope Nicholas IV was substantially the same as the oldest 1221 text. Nicholas IV introduced unity of rule and of direction into the Third Order, which was put under the care of the Friars Minor. By the 15th century, numerous individuals living under the rule of the Third Order were living in small communities, many leading an eremitical life. They had been living under the same rule as the married penitents who led more routine forms of life. A papal decree of 1447 organized the more isolated communities into a new and separate religious order with its own rule of life. For that point, members were defined either as Third Order Regular or as the Third Order Secular, for those members of the order who lived in the world. In the later centuries of the Franciscan movement, the order of regular tertiaries was considered as equivalent to the friars of the First Order, Third Order Secular Franciscan Order. History. The influence of the Franciscan Third Order Secular upon the society of medieval Europe was significant. The prohibition against carrying arms had dealt a blow to the feudal system and to the ever-fighting factions of Italian municipalities. The admission to the order of members from all stations in life on an equal basis helped to promote social change and equality of opportunity in a period of rigid social stratification. Clement VII in 1526 and Pope Paul III in 1547 mitigated the rule on fasts and abstinence, but the rule as given by Nicholas IV was essentially unchanged. In 1883, Pope Leo XIII, himself a tertiary, through the Apostolic Constitution Misericors Dei Filius, modified the text, adapting it more to the modern state and needs of the society, although the substantial points remain. Members of the order gather in ecclesiastical communities which are called fraternities. The direction was entrusted to the three branches of the First Order, Friars Minor, Conventuals, Capuchins, and to the regular Third Order. Notable members include Louis IX of France, Ferdinand III of Castile, Elizabeth of Portugal, Rose of Viterbo, and Margaret of Cortona, among others. Secular Franciscans in Canada. The Third Order of St. Francis was established by the Friars Minor Recollects at Quebec in 1671, and some years later at Three Rivers and Montreal. After the cession of Canada to England in 1763 following the French defeat in the 7 Years' War, the Third Order, deprived of its directors, seemed to have gradually disappeared. It was re-established about 1840 by Mgr. Ignatius Bourget, Bishop of Montreal. Noted naturalist l'Abbé Élie Couteau en Abel Provencher was particularly active. In 1866, he established a fraternity in his parish at Portneuf, Quebec, and promoted the Third Order by his writings. For 2 years he edited a review, in which he published nearly every month an article on the Third Order, or answered questions pertaining thereto. In 1881, Blessed Friar Frédéric Yensawan was sent to Canada, where he gave new spirit to the Third Order, inaugurating and visiting fraternities. Shortly afterward, Leo XIII published his encyclicals on the Third Order. The Canadian bishops' wishes recommended the Third Order to the clergy and faithful. The foundation of a community of Friars Minor at Montreal in 1890 inaugurated a new era of growth from the Third Order. As of 2016, there were over 5,000 active members in approximately 200 fraternities. Secular Franciscans in the United Kingdom. Little is known of the Third Order in Great Britain prior to the Reformation. In 1385 there were 8 fraternities in the British Isles. Fr. William Stanley was the first commissary of the order in England after the dissolution. He wrote a treatise of the Third Order of St. Francis, published at Douai in 1617. Alice Ingham became a member of the lay society the Third Order of St. Francis in 1872. She later went on to found the Sisters of St. Joseph's Society for Foreign Missions. In 1877, the English Franciscans initiated publication of the Franciscan Annual and Monthly Bulletin of the Third Order, a national conference of British tertiaries with a view to strengthening and consolidating the order, was held in 1898 at Liverpool. A second national conference was held at Leeds. As in other regions, the members of the order order are now self-governing, under the auspices of a national fraternity. In Britain, the national fraternity is made up of 9 regional fraternities. In Scotland, here are fraternities in Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Inverness. Secular Franciscans in Ireland. The Third Order was active in Dublin during the medieval period. There were tertiaries assisting the conventual Franciscans at Drogheda in 1855. Although the friary closed in 2000, the secular Franciscans continue to meet in Drogheda. A renewal of the Third Order in Dublin began around 1860. Merchants Quay was later turned into a Third Order centre with rooms where tertiaries could meet and relax. A fraternity was established by the Capuchins in Cork in 1866, another in Kilkenny. In the late 19th century, the Irish Franciscans produced the Irish Franciscan Tertiary, a monthly journal for the Third Order Franciscans. 600 tertiaries met in Dublin in 1971 to celebrate the 750th anniversary of the founding of the order. As of 2014, secular Franciscans in Ireland numbered over 1,200. Secular Franciscans in the United States. Early Franciscan missionaries established fraternities in the southern and southwestern states, where there was extensive French and Spanish Catholic influence. A fraternity was established at Santa Fe before 1680. Another fraternity operated in New Mexico almost from the time of the Reconquest, as reported by the Father Guardian, José Bernal, dated Santa Fe, 17 September 1794. It is likely that a confraternity was founded at St. Augustine, Florida, before the close of the 16th century, as this was the first Spanish settlement in what is now the United States. One was established at San Antonio, Texas, before the middle of the 18th century. The establishment of provinces of the Order of Friars Minor brought about the establishment of many confraternities. In 1919, a number of friar provincials decided to set up a national organization. With the approval of a new rule in 1978, the fraternities were reorganized as an independent arm of the Franciscan movement. The National Fraternity of the United States was formed and divided into 30 regions. As of 2016, there are over 12,000 secular Franciscans in the United States. Secular Franciscans in Oceania. The Secular Franciscans Oceania is the national fraternity for Australia, Papua New Guinea, Sabah, and Singapore. New Zealand has its own national fraternity. Contemporary Secular Franciscans. Membership of the Secular Franciscan Order includes lay men and women as well as diocesan priests. A number of popes have been members of this order. Professed members use the letters OFS after the name in line with the official name of the order. The current rule was given by Pope Paul VI in 1978 with the apostolic letter Seraphicus Patriarcha. It is designed to adapt the secular Franciscan order to the needs and expectations of the Church in the conditions of changing times. Under this new rule, the tertiaries of the Franciscan movement were set up as an autonomous order, with their own minister general as head of the order. They were removed from the jurisdiction of the friars of the First Order and of the Third Order regular. In 1990, a new set of constitutions were written and approved by the General Chapter of the Order held in Madrid, Spain, to clarify issues related to the revised rule. In A.D. 2000, the appropriate agencies of the Catholic Church, in the name of Pope John Paul II, gave the official approval to the final form of the constitutions, with an effective date of 8 February 2001. The order is now known as the Secular Franciscan Order. The Secular Franciscan Order is a fully recognized order within the Catholic Church and part of the Franciscan family. The present active membership of the order worldwide is about 350,000. A summary of the elements of Franciscan spirituality includes living in communion with Christ poor and crucified, in the love of God, and in brother-sisterhood with all people and all of creation.